If you wake up every morning feeling like your memory is slipping, if you're tossing and turning at night but still crashing on the couch in the afternoon, you are not alone. Millions of adults over 60 make one tiny mistake with their naps that silently sabotages their brain health. What feels like an innocent snooze, just closing your eyes for a bit, could actually be training your brain to age faster, dulling recall, and even raising your risk for dementia. Here's the shocking truth. Research now shows that not all naps are created equal. Short, early naps can recharge your brain like plugging in a phone battery. But the wrong kind of nap, the late, long, or unplanned crash nap, can strip away the very deep sleep your brain needs to clear out toxic proteins. And here's the kicker. Those same proteins, when they build up, are strongly linked to memory loss and dementia. Imagine this 45-minute nap at 5 p.m. doesn't just ruin your night, it can echo into the next day, making you more groggy, less alert, and more dependent on caffeine. Over weeks and months, this pattern can snowball into chronic sleep disruption, foggy mornings, and slower reaction times. Some neurologists even compare a poorly timed nap to jet lag in your own living room, a constant battle between your body clock and your brain's recovery system. But don't worry, you don't have to give up naps altogether. In fact, when done correctly, they can protect memory, improve mood, and even sharpen your reflexes. Today, I'll take you step by step through the fixes ranked from helpful to most potent that will let you keep the refreshing power of a nap while shielding your brain from the hidden damage of the bad nap trap. This is general education, not medical advice. Check with your clinician if you have conditions or take medications. When I tell patients about the dangers of poorly timed naps, they often look at me with surprise. But doctor, they say, I thought naps were healthy. And they can be if they're done right. What I'm sharing with you today isn't guesswork, and it isn't pulled from wellness fads. It comes from large-scale sleep studies, neurologists who track brain aging, and clinical sleep medicine guidelines. The evidence is clear. Consistent habits protect your brain. But here's the reality check. You won't see change in a single day. Just like it takes weeks of exercise to strengthen a muscle, it takes steady sleep routines to protect memory. The key is repetition. The brain craves rhythm, and when you give it regular cues like a stable nap time or a consistent wake-up, you set yourself up for sharper recall, calmer mood, and deeper rest at night. Now, I want you to set your expectations honestly. Everyone's different. If you're taking medications, if you're coping with pain, or if you already have conditions like sleep apnea or diabetes, your results may look different from your neighbors. But even in those cases, tightening up your nap routine is one of the lowest risk, highest reward steps you can take. Here's why this matters. Naps are not all or nothing. The right nap at the right time is like medicine, boosting energy, protecting heart health, even lowering stress hormones. The wrong nap, however, is like taking the wrong dose of a pill. It leaves side effects. The good news is, once you understand the science, you can tilt the balance in your favor. So before we dive into the countdown of fixes, let's get crystal clear on the basics. Why naps help in the first place and when they begin to harm. This foundation will make the later steps much easier to follow. Naps are not your enemy. In fact, short naps are one of nature's simplest tools for restoring the brain. Done correctly, they can sharpen attention, lift mood, and even protect your heart. But here's where the story takes a dark turn, because not all naps are created equal. When you nap too late in the day, or you let that nap stretch far past 20 minutes, your brain enters a deeper stage of sleep it was saving for nighttime. Think of it like raiding your retirement savings. What feels good in the short term leaves you depleted when you need it most. At night, your brain struggles to drop into slow wave sleep, the very stage responsible for memory consolidation and clearing toxic proteins like beta-amyloid. These proteins, left unwashed, are strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Here's a striking example. Several large observational studies in older adults have shown that long, irregular daytime naps are associated with higher rates of cognitive decline. Now, that doesn't mean naps directly cause dementia. Science is cautious about that leap, but the association is strong enough that major sleep researchers warn against free-form napping in later life. On the flip side, controlled studies reveal that short early naps improve learning and reaction time without disrupting nighttime sleep. The contrast couldn't be clearer. So the big question becomes, how do you know whether your nap is helping or harming? The answer lies in two systems that control every minute of your sleep life: your sleep pressure and your circadian clock. If you don't understand these two forces, you'll never understand why naps backfire. That's why, before I show you the countdown of fixes, I'm going to break down in plain English how these two clocks compete and cooperate inside your body. Once you see it, you'll never look at your afternoon snooze the same way again. Your sleep is controlled by two clocks that run in the background, and every nap you take either supports them or scrambles them. The first clock is called sleep pressure. Think of it like a sandbag meter. From the moment you wake up, your brain stacks sandbags. This is a chemical called adenosine building up. The longer you stay awake, the heavier the pressure gets, and the more ready you are for sleep. When you nap, you dump some of those sandbags. That's why you feel refreshed afterward, but if you dump too many too late in the day, you won't have enough weight left to fall asleep at night. The second clock is your circadian rhythm, or body clock. This is not about how long you've been awake, it's about timing. Hormones, body temperature, and alertness rise and fall on a 24-hour cycle. Around early afternoon, most people hit a natural dip. That dip is the body saying, a short nap is welcome here. But by late afternoon and evening, your circadian clock is climbing again. Nap during that climb, and you fight the system. Your brain gets confused about whether it should be winding down or revving up. Now here's where it all connects to brain health. Your deepest slow-wave sleep happens mostly in the first half of the night. That's when the glymphatic system, your brain's cleaning crew, flushes out waste, toxins, and proteins tied to memory loss. If your naps are timed wrong, you rob your night of that slow-wave treasure. Over weeks, it's like skipping nightly house cleaning. Dust piles up, and the brain begins to struggle. So naps are a double-edged sword. A well-placed 15 minutes after lunch boosts your clarity. A 60-minute sprawl at 5 p.m. siphons away the very sleep that protects your memory. And here's the kicker. Many older adults don't even realize their grogginess is self-inflicted by this nap clock tug-of-war. Which brings us to the next question. Who is most vulnerable to falling into this trap? Some groups are at far higher risk than others, and you need to know if you're in that category. Not everyone falls into the nap trap the same way. Certain groups are far more vulnerable, and knowing if you're one of them is the first step toward change. The first group is adults over 60. As you age, your body clock naturally shifts earlier. Many older adults wake up at dawn without an alarm and feel tired sooner in the evening. At the same time, the depth of your nighttime sleep often gets lighter. Put those two together, and the temptation for long, late naps grows strong. What feels like catching up is often stealing from your next night's sleep. The second group includes people on sedating medications. This could be common antihistamines for allergies, certain pain relievers, anxiety medications, or even some antidepressants. These drugs can create daytime drowsiness, making a nap feel unavoidable. But when that nap stretches too long, you enter a cycle. Medication causes drowsiness, long nap delays, bedtime, poor night's sleep makes you groggier the next day, and the cycle repeats. Third, people with undiagnosed sleep disorders are at risk. Sleep apnea, restless legs, and even chronic pain can fragment night sleep, leaving you drained during the day. Many people in this group start to rely on naps as a crutch. But instead of fixing the underlying issue, the long nap just makes night sleep worse, masking the real problem. Finally, there's a hidden group, those with mood disorders like depression or anxiety. Fatigue and low motivation can trigger multiple daytime naps, sometimes hours long. These aren't refreshing naps, they're escape naps. And unfortunately, they often worsen both mood and sleep patterns. Here's the rule of thumb. If you feel you need a 60-90-minute nap every single afternoon, that's a red flag. It's not just normal aging. It may be your body's way of telling you something deeper is off. So how do you know if your naps are helping or harming? Before we get into the countdown of fixes, let's run a quick self-check that you can do today. Here's a quick test you can run on yourself right now. I call it the Nap Danger Quiz. Answer honestly. This is your first clue whether your naps are building your brain or quietly tearing it down. Question 1. Do you nap after 3 p.m. most days? If yes, you're running against your circadian rhythm. That late nap pulls energy from the night and almost guarantees you'll lie awake later than you want. Question 2. Do your naps last longer than 30 minutes? If so, you're likely slipping into deep sleep during the day. That means grogginess when you wake up and less deep sleep left over for nighttime. Question 3. Do you often struggle to fall asleep before 11 p.m., even if you're tired? That's a telltale sign your nap is stealing your natural sleep pressure, leaving your brain too alert when it should be shutting down. Question 4. Do you wake up in the morning feeling unrefreshed even though you've been in bed for 7-8 hours? If yes, those naps may be fragmenting your sleep cycles and robbing you of slow-wave cleansing time. Here's the key. If you answered yes to 2 or more of these, you're caught in the risky nap pattern. That doesn't mean you're doomed. It means you're the perfect candidate for the nap fixes I'm about to share. Think of this like a before photo. You need to know where you stand so you can measure change later. The good news is the solutions are simple, practical, and proven. And they work best when you start with clarity about your current habits. Now that you've done the self-check, it's time to break the cycle. Let's move into the countdown of nap fixes ranked from helpful to most powerful that will let you keep the refreshment of a nap without the hidden brain risks. One of the simplest mistakes I see is people napping in their bed. Your brain is a master of association. When you only use your bed for nighttime sleep, your body learns bed equals long, deep rest. But if you start taking daytime naps in that same spot, you blur the signal. Before long, your brain can't tell the difference. Nighttime sleep becomes lighter and naps become heavier. That's the exact opposite of what you want. The fix? Choose a separate nap zone. It could be a recliner, a couch corner, or even a supportive armchair. By creating this nap-only location, you tell your brain this is for short recharge only. That simple separation helps keep naps light and refreshing while protecting the bed for deep, restorative night sleep. There's real science behind this. Sleep hygiene studies consistently show that context control, using consistent environments for specific types of rest, improves sleep quality and reduces insomnia symptoms in older adults. It's like training a dog. The brain learns faster with clear, repeatable cues. Here's how to do it. Pick your spot and make it comfortable, but not too cozy. Semi-reclined positions help prevent drifting into long, deep sleep. Keep it cool and quiet. A light blanket is fine, but avoid darkening the room too much. It should feel like a short pit stop, not a full night. Set a timer before you even close your eyes. Don't rely on feeling when to wake up. By the time you realize you've overslept, the damage is done. What to avoid? Never nap with the television blaring, thinking I'll just rest my eyes. That's a trap. Background noise fragments your nap, but the couch crash stretches it out. Safety note: if you have balance issues, make sure your nap spot is safe to get in and out of with good lighting and stable support nearby. By carving out this nap-only spot, you've taken the first step in reclaiming control. But environment is only half the battle. The next and much bigger piece of the puzzle is timing. That's where we head with the next fix. If there's one golden rule of napping, it's this: nothing after 3 p.m. Why? Because your brain's circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates hormones, body temperature, and alertness, operates on a predictable curve. Early afternoon dips are natural, but once you pass mid-afternoon, your body is gearing up for the evening. Nap during that upward climb, and you disrupt the very system that prepares you for deep sleep at night. Here's the science, in simple terms. When you nap too late, you trick your brain into thinking it's already had part of its night's sleep. The result? Your sleep drive weakens, you toss and turn at bedtime, and you end up stealing time from your most restorative deep sleep. That's the stage where your brain consolidates memory, cleans out toxins, and resets focus for the next day. Lose that, and you feel duller and foggier, even if you technically slept enough. Studies back this up. In controlled trials, naps taken earlier in the day were shown to boost alertness and performance, while late afternoon naps increased sleep latency, the time it takes to fall asleep at night, and reduced total deep sleep. Translation: timing matters as much as duration. Here's how to apply it. Ideal window: aim for between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. That's when most people's circadian dip naturally hits. Consistency beats randomness. Try to nap around the same time daily. The body loves rhythm. If you feel drowsy after 3 p.m., resist the urge. Instead, step outside for sunlight, hydrate, or do 2 minutes of gentle movement. You'll feel a natural boost without sabotaging your night. What to avoid? The classic couch crash at 5 or 6 p.m. after dinner prep. This is the nap that almost guarantees midnight tossing and turning. Safety note: shift workers or those with irregular schedules may need a different cutoff window. If that's you, check with your clinician. Now you've got the environment and the timing locked in, but there's still a critical trap most people fall into: letting the nap run too long. That's where our next fix comes in. Here's the secret: a nap doesn't need to be long to work. In fact, the sweet spot is shockingly short, just 10 to 20 minutes. That's what's called a power nap. It gives you a burst of alertness, better mood, and sharper focus without pulling you into deep sleep. Once you cross the 30-minute mark, though, you hit dangerous territory. That's when your brain starts sliding into slow wave sleep, the deep restorative stage designed for nighttime. Wake up in the middle of that stage and you'll feel groggy, disoriented, maybe even more tired than before. That's called sleep inertia, and it can last for hours. Worse, if you complete a full sleep cycle during the day, about 90 minutes, you rob your night of its deep sleep quota. The data is clear. Studies in healthy adults show that short naps under 20 minutes improve alertness and reaction time, while longer naps interfere with nighttime sleep quality. One NASA trial even found that a 26-minute nap boosted pilot performance by 34% and alertness by 54%, but those naps were tightly timed and cut short before deep sleep began. Here's how to keep it tight. Set a timer before you lie down. Don't trust your internal clock, you will overshoot. Use tricks to prevent deep sleep. Sit semi-reclined instead of fully flat, or hold a light object like a spoon in your hand. As you drift deeper, you'll drop it, and the sound will wake you naturally. Aim for the espresso nap. Drink a small coffee right before you nap. Caffeine takes about 20 minutes to kick in, just as your nap ends, leaving you doubly refreshed. What to avoid? The 45-60-minute danger zone. It's long enough to trigger sleep inertia, but not long enough to count as a full recovery nap. Safety note: if you have chronic insomnia, you may want to avoid naps altogether for a few weeks while resetting your sleep cycle. At this point, you've fixed where you nap, when you nap, and how long you nap. But we're not done yet, because what you do immediately after your nap is just as critical as the nap itself. And that brings us to the next fix. Here's a mistake I see all the time. People wake up from a nap and just slump back into the dim living room. That's a surefire way to feel groggy for hours. The secret to snapping your brain awake after a nap is simple light. Light is the single strongest cue for your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. When your eyes receive bright light, your brain gets a clear message: daytime, wake up, reset. Without that signal, your body lingers in a half-asleep state, dragging fatigue into the evening. Worse, skipping light exposure after naps can shift your body clock later, making it harder to fall asleep at night. The evidence is powerful. Sleep science shows that even 5-10 minutes of outdoor light can reduce post-nap grogginess, improve alertness, and strengthen circadian timing. In fact, studies on older adults demonstrate that light exposure is one of the most effective tools for consolidating nighttime sleep and reducing insomnia. Here's how to do it. Step outside immediately after waking. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is 10-20 times stronger than indoor lighting. Pair it with movement. A slow 2-3 minute walk while you're outside doubles the effect oxygen plus light signals fire up your brain. Keep it natural. Skip sunglasses unless glare is harsh. You want safe, direct light to your eyes. What to avoid? Staying inside with curtains drawn, scrolling your phone. Phone light is a drop compared to daylight, and it tricks you into more sedentary behavior right when your brain needs activation. Safety note: if you have sensitive eyes, retinal conditions, or glaucoma, follow your eye doctor's guidance on safe light exposure. So now you know how to wake your brain up properly. But what about the other piece people reach for after a nap? Caffeine. Used wrong, it's a disaster. Used right, it's a secret weapon. Let's break that down next. Here's the truth. Caffeine is not your enemy. In fact, when used correctly, it can amplify the benefits of a nap. But if you get the timing wrong, caffeine becomes one of the biggest saboteurs of your sleep. Here's why. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, the chemical that builds up as sleep pressure. That's great when you're trying to stay alert, but if you drink coffee right before a late nap, you blunt the natural dip. Your body needs to rest. Worse, if you drink it too close to bedtime. The caffeine lingers in your system for 6-8 hours, fragmenting your deep sleep and cutting down your restorative cycles. But here's the kicker. When you pair caffeine with a properly timed nap, you get what researchers call an espresso nap. The idea is simple. You drink a small coffee or tea, then lie down for a 10-20 minute nap. By the time the caffeine kicks in, you're already waking naturally, and the two effects stack together. NASA pilots, elite athletes, even surgeons have used this method to boost performance and alertness. Here's how to do it right. Nap first, coffee second, or both together. If you nap at 1:30 p.m., sip your coffee just before lying down. By 2 p.m., you're refreshed and caffeinated. Set a caffeine cutoff. No caffeine within 8 hours of bedtime. If you sleep at 10 p.m., your last coffee should be before 2 p.m. Keep it modest. 1 small cup is enough. Megadoses only create jitters, reflux, and nighttime problems. What to avoid? Sipping tea, soda, or coffee all day long. That constant drip of caffeine quietly erodes your sleep quality, and most people never connect their restless nights to their afternoon latte. Safety note: if you have heart rhythm issues, reflux, or anxiety disorders, caffeine may worsen symptoms. Always tailor intake with your doctor's advice. At this point, you've got your nap environment, timing, length, light, and caffeine strategy under control. But there's still one sneaky trigger for bad naps: what you eat at lunch. That's where we're going next. If you've ever felt the dreaded food coma after lunch, you know exactly why this matters. What you eat in the middle of the day sets the stage for how powerful or how dangerous your nap will be. Here's the problem. Big, carb, heavy, high sugar lunches cause a glucose spike followed by a rapid crash. That crash triggers overwhelming sleepiness, practically dragging you into a long, late nap. It's not just aging, it's your blood sugar roller coaster. And every time you let that crash push you into a nap, you feed the cycle of poor night's sleep. Here's the science. Clinical trials show that high glycemic meals increase daytime sleepiness and impair performance. In contrast, balanced protein and fiber-rich meals stabilize blood sugar and reduce the urge for prolonged napping. One study even found that older adults who shifted to protein-forward lunches reported sharper afternoon focus and fewer nighttime awakenings. So how do you fix it? Build your lunch like this: lean protein, chicken, fish, tofu, beans, plus high-fiber vegetables, plus a small serving of whole grains or legumes. Watch the sugar bombs. Skip sodas, desserts, or refined breads at lunch. Save them, if at all, for earlier in the day. Hydrate. Mild dehydration can amplify fatigue. A glass of water with your meal helps flatten energy dips. What to avoid? The heavy pasta plate, fried foods, or that mid-lunch slice of cake? They may comfort you in the moment, but they almost guarantee a couch crash later. Safety note: if you live with diabetes or are on medications that affect blood sugar, you'll want to coordinate dietary adjustments with your care team. Once you've stabilized your lunch, naps become a tool, not a trap. But there's still one more step to lock in the benefits: how you move your body before and after a nap. And that's our next fix. Most people treat naps as a drop and collapse moment. Sit down, close eyes, wake up groggy, shuffle back to life. But what if I told you that just 3 minutes of light movement before and after your nap could completely change how refreshed you feel? Here's why. When you prime your body with movement before napping, you activate circulation and oxygen flow. That helps your nap stay light and restorative instead of dropping too deep. Then, moving immediately after the nap acts like a reset switch, clearing grogginess and stabilizing your blood pressure as you rise. Without it, many older adults risk dizziness or even dangerous falls from sudden standing. Science backs this up. Research shows that light activity reduces sleep inertia, improves alertness, and helps regulate blood pressure fluctuations common after rest. In older populations, simple chair-based mobility drills even reduce the risk of post-nap imbalance. Here's how to do it. Before nap, 90-second, seated marching in place, shoulder rolls, and 5 gentle torso twists, just enough to loosen up. After nap, 90 seconds, ankle pumps while seated, 5-10 chair sit to stands, then a slow stretch overhead. Bonus: finish with a 2-minute easy walk, ideally outside in sunlight, to supercharge the effect. What to avoid? Jumping up quickly and heading straight to chores or driving. That's when dizziness or grogginess can trip you up. Safety note: if you struggle with balance, keep a stable surface nearby and rise gradually. Even small movements done safely are better than skipping this entirely. Now you've structured your nap environment: timing, length, light, caffeine, food, and movement. There's only one fix left: the master switch that determines whether all the others succeed or fail. It's the single most powerful step for reclaiming your nights and protecting your memory. If you remember nothing else from this entire guide, remember this: a consistent wake time is the single strongest tool you have for protecting your brain. It doesn't matter how perfect your nap is. If your mornings are random, your entire sleep system is unstable. Here's why. Your wake time is the anchor for your circadian rhythm. It sets the daily clock that drives your hormones, body temperature, hunger signals, and even mood. When you wake at wildly different times, your brain never knows when to release melatonin at night or when to schedule deep sleep. The result? Fragmented nights, drowsy mornings, and a desperate need for naps that only worsens the cycle. The evidence is undeniable. Studies in older adults show that consistent sleep-wake timing improves sleep quality, mood, and cognitive performance. One trial even found that seniors with regular wake time scored significantly higher on memory tests compared to those with irregular schedules, even if total hours slept were the same. Rhythm beats randomness. Here's how to apply it. Pick one realistic wake time, not your ideal, but something you can actually keep 7 days a week. Stick to it within 30 minutes, even on weekends. Your body clock doesn't take holidays. Get morning light within 30 minutes of waking. This locks in your clock for the day and makes nighttime melatonin release stronger. What to avoid? Sleeping in for hours to catch up. It feels good short term, but shatters your rhythm long term. Safety note: if you're waking exhausted despite regularity, it may point to hidden issues like sleep apnea or depression. Get checked. This is the master switch because it pulls every other fix into alignment. Once you wake consistently, naps naturally shrink into the right window, food cravings balance, and nighttime deep sleep rebuilds. Without this, everything else is just patchwork. Now that you've seen all 8 fixes, let's put them together into a simple, guided routine you can actually follow tomorrow. Let's walk through what a perfect nap day actually looks like. Imagine it's after lunch, you're a little sluggish, and you're ready to recharge, but this time you're going to do it in a way that supports, not sabotages, your brain. Step 1, pre-nap setup, 2 minutes. Before you even lie down, drink a glass of water and use the bathroom. Dehydration and bladder urgency are 2 of the most common nap disruptors. Set a timer for 15 minutes, non-negotiable. Then pick your nap-only spot, armchair, recliner, or couch corner, not your bed. Recline slightly, not fully flat. Take a few slow breaths, in for 4 seconds, out for 6. This tells your body it's safe to power down. Step 2, the nap, 10 to 20 minutes. Close your eyes between 1 o'clock, 2:30 p.m., the circadian sweet spot. If you want, try the espresso nap. Sip a small coffee or green tea just before lying back. As you drift, caffeine is quietly working its way in. You nap, the timer wakes you, and caffeine kicks in right as you rise. That double hit leaves you sharper than either alone. Step 3, wake smoothly, 2 minutes. When the timer goes off, don't jump up. Sit up slowly, pump your ankles, roll your shoulders. If you tend to get groggy, hold a light object like a spoon or pen while napping when it drops. The sound helps prevent deep sleep inertia. Step veer, post-nap reset, 15 minutes. Step outside immediately for bright light exposure. Even if it's cloudy, natural light is stronger than any indoor bulb. Pair it with a slow 2-3 minute walk. This does 3 things. Clears grogginess, anchors your circadian clock, and gives your body oxygen. Step 5, fuel smart. If you need a snack, skip the cookies. Go for something protein plus fiber, a boiled egg, Greek yogurt, or an apple with nut butter. This stabilizes energy and prevents another crash. Step 6, re-engage. Now you're back in the game, alert, steady, and refreshed without sacrificing the deep sleep you need tonight. The whole cycle, from pre-nap setup to outdoor reset, takes no more than 30 minutes. That's your nap, upgraded. Sharper afternoons today, stronger memory tomorrow, and better sleep at night. But don't just take my word for it. Let me share a real-world story of how this worked for one of my patients. Let me introduce you to Arun, a 8-year-old retired teacher. When he first came to me, he was frustrated. Every afternoon, without fail, he'd slump onto the couch around 5 p.m. and drift into what he thought was a harmless catnap. But here's what really happened. He'd wake up an hour later groggy, stay wide awake past midnight, and then drag himself out of bed at 9:00 a.m., feeling foggy. His wife complained he was forgetful, and he admitted that his evenings were a blur. We walked through the exact fixes I just shared with you. Together, we anchored his wake time at 6:30 a.m. sharp every day, no excuses. Instead of his evening crash, he scheduled a nap at 1:30 p.m., capped at 15 minutes, in a recliner by the window. He paired it with a glass of water beforehand, a small coffee just before lying back, and a 5-minute outdoor stroll immediately after. We also cleaned up his lunch, less white rice and sweets, more lentils, chicken, and vegetables. The change? Within 3 weeks, Arun was falling asleep before 11 p.m. without tossing, sleeping deeper, and waking at 6:30 a.m. feeling refreshed. His wife told me his memory seemed sharper in the evenings, and he felt confident enough to start tutoring math again, something he hadn't done in years because of his brain fog. Now, is Arun's story unique? Not at all. This is exactly what happens when you stop fighting your body's 2 clocks and start working with them. The difference is night and day, literally. But to be clear, not every case is this smooth. Some people's naps are symptoms of deeper problems. And that's why we need to talk about red flags and safety checks, the things you should never ignore if your nap routine feels off. Before you jump headfirst into a new nap routine, you need to know the warning signs that a nap isn't just a habit, it's a symptom. Ignoring these red flags can delay serious diagnoses. First, watch for sleep apnea clues. If your spouse or family says you snore loudly, choke or gasp at night, or if you wake with morning headaches, naps may not be the problem, it's your oxygen dropping at night. Untreated sleep apnea doesn't just fragment sleep. It raises blood pressure, strains the heart, and is strongly linked to memory decline. Second, look for mood and mental health signals. If your naps are escape naps, you lie down multiple times a day because of low mood, anxiety, or lack of motivation, that's a sign of underlying depression or anxiety. Naps don't fix mood disorders, and long ones can actually make symptoms worse. Third, think medications. Many common drugs in older adults, antihistamines, some blood pressure pills, pain relievers, benzodiazepines, even certain antidepressants can sedate you. If you feel drugged, tired, and reliant on daily naps, it's worth asking your doctor whether a prescription adjustment could help. Fourth, check for new or worsening dizziness, falls, or irregular heartbeat. If you're napping a lot and also noticing balance issues, faintness, or chest palpitations, don't write it off as just age. These can be signs of cardiovascular or neurological problems. Here's the bottom line. If you find yourself needing 60-90-minute naps daily, or if your fatigue feels overwhelming no matter how well you sleep at night, that's not normal aging. That's a red flag worth medical attention. Naps should refresh you, not rule your life. If they feel like a bandage over something bigger, listen to that instinct. Now that we've covered the safety side, let's pull everything together with a fast recap and a simple 2-week starter plan you can put into action tomorrow. Let's bring this full circle. Naps are not the enemy. The real danger lies in late, long, irregular naps, the kind that rob you of deep nighttime sleep, fog your memory, and leave you more tired the next day. Done correctly, however, naps can be one of the most powerful tools for sharper focus, better mood, and healthier aging. Here's what you've learned. Where you nap matters. Pick a nap-only spot, not your bed. When you nap matters. Aim for 1 o'clock, 2:30 p.m., never after 3 p.m. How long you nap matters. Cap it at 10-20 minutes, no more. What you do after matters. Light, movement, hydration, and the right food reset your brain. Your master switch is wake time. A consistent morning anchor locks all of this into place. The science is solid, the strategies are simple, and the payoff is priceless. Steadier sleep, sharper memory, and stronger protection against cognitive decline. So here's your 2-week starter plan. Pick a wake time you can keep 7 days a week, write it down, and commit. Schedule 1 nap each day in the sweet spot, 1 o'clock, 2:30 p.m., capped at 20 minutes. Step outside for light and a short walk immediately after every nap. Follow those 3 steps consistently for just 14 days. You'll not only feel more refreshed in the afternoons, you'll likely notice easier bedtimes, deeper sleep, and clearer recall in the evenings. Remember, naps should serve you, not steal from you. With the right rhythm, they can be your ally in staying sharp and energized as you age. And now, I want to hear from you. So now the choice is yours. Will you keep drifting into those random couch crashes that rob your nights, or will you take control and turn naps into a tool for energy, clarity, and brain protection? I want you to test this for yourself. Start with the 2-week starter plan I just gave you and see how your body responds. You'll be amazed how quickly consistency pays off. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Are you more of a late evening napper or an early afternoon power napper? Drop your answer in the comments below, and let's see how many of you are ready to reclaim your afternoon. And if you know someone who always complains about being groggy after a nap, share this video with them. They need it. Stay sharp, stay consistent, and remember, a smarter nap today builds a stronger brain tomorrow.